Hi everyone, this is Jonathan from Walk Design here. Been a bit crazy at the moment, as we know, but we thought we'd put together a little series of videos that we're tentatively calling Business as Unusual, where we thought we'd record a few of the interesting conversations we've been having with our colleagues, our clients, our friends and family about how we try to make the world seem as normal as we possibly can, given everything that's going on around us, and how we try and continue doing business and not give up and not despair and offer people a bit of hope and a bit of inspiration. So to kick things off, I thought start close to home, introduce my brother, Matt Goodwin. Hey, Matt.
Hey, mate, you okay?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. Matthew is the head of marketing at the University of Kent Student Union. And so I thought we'd kick things off by talking about how on earth do you go about doing marketing during a global pandemic? Over to you, Matt. All the answers, please.
You do it slowly, fastly. Fastly is not a word. Quickly. I think.
Do you wear a tinfoil hat at all times?
I think you react a lot. I think you have to talk to a lot of people. You have to listen to a lot of people. And you have to ask for help all day, every day, and you have to do a lot of video calls so everyone gets to see your house.
Yeah, this is the new normal, right? I hate that phrase, but this is the new normal. Talking to your clients and talking to your colleagues, hoping they can't see all the mess in the background, hoping that the dishwasher's not beeping too loud in the background, the cat's meowing. Kids are climbing all over you.
I think everyone that I speak to goes, oh, they're crazy blinds. And when you and I started this call, you went, oh, it's a bit of a busy background.
Yeah, to be honest, I forgot
you've been in my house and seen them lots of times.
Looks like your green screen's gone wrong.
Yeah, someone's playing a joke on me.
So Matt, tell everyone who's joined us today a little bit about what does your normal job involve? What did the world look like before coronavirus for the head of marketing at Kent Union?
So I guess normal life for us is servicing the students at the University of Kent. There's 20,000 of them. And as the Students' Union, we're here to be their student voice, to represent them. And the marketing function within Kent Union supports all the student services that the Student Union run. So as the head of marketing, we, I guess we work with every department to promote them, to have a voice and to tell everyone what we do and try and engage in as many students as possible as what we do, but at the same time working with the university to I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, that's cool. It gives people a flavour. And for those not in the know, I mean, we're fortunate enough to do a bit of work with you guys over at the university. So we know the sort of scale of your operation. But I think for a lot of people, when you say to someone, I work at Student Union, I bet they think something a lot smaller and a lot low key than the environment you're actually working in, and the number of people you're working with, and the scale of the operations, and what a headache it must have been to be dealing with students in the numbers that you have been, as everything around us seemed to fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, so we're a fairly large organisation with, sorry, girlfriend just come in the kitchen. Raiding the fridge for chocolate. We've got, oh wait, we'll have to edit this bit out.
Never.
Alright, so I'll ask a question again, so I can't remember what you said.
I guess where I'm going is, so you've told us a little bit about what you do as head of marketing in a normal life. How have things changed? What was the immediate impact?
Yeah, so I guess the immediate impact for us is that we went from having a very alive, bubbling, noisy, busy, engaged campus was an immediate change, and then suddenly we had to switch everything we did to become digital. We lost all that kind of tactile, one-to-one engagement that we would have had with so many students and staff on campus every single day. we also had to stop running a lot of our services to really hone and streamline everything we did, to make sure that everything we did do was offering value in the right areas. So, for example, focusing on student support, well-being, all the educational parts of our job as well. So, talking to students about lectures, exams, how they're going to carry on having their classes, access to the library, working with the university to look at what is the best way for students to still have a valuable student experience when they would obviously be off campus and missing such a large part of that experience. But at the same time, you want to be really considerate to think about actually in the back of their mind, they are worried about their families, they're away from home, they are...
you have a lot of international students, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when the virus first broke out, there was a lot of students that were already away because it was, I guess, towards the end of last year. So people may have already gone home for Christmas, and yeah, trying to deal with students while they were abroad was the first kind of conversations that we were having back in January, I guess. Yeah, luckily we've worked very closely with the university to support us with that.
So first and foremost, the student union is providing a service, isn't it? You are a union representing students. So
yes, we're the voice, the representative voice of students.
Yeah, so I guess you're juggling two things really. You're juggling the commercial realities of keeping a business afloat and bringing revenue in and providing retail services and on-campus facilities that students rely on. But I guess you're also trying to communicate to them how to get home, what's going to happen with their courses, what's going to happen after the summer.
Yeah, I think,
you know, like you say, what's going to happen with their exams, their grades. Yeah. Can they learn remotely? Can they? And so, I mean, the questions must have been endless.
Yeah, the first draft of the FAQs was ungodly. There's so many different pages of FAQs that have kind of gone around. And luckily we've got a fantastic web designer who was able to streamline that to make it as easy as possible to use. But yeah, the FAQs in the first week or two just carried on growing, carrying on adding. And yeah, we didn't know what we didn't know. So what was really important for us was to keep talking to students, to our audience, to our members, to kind of go, what are you worried about? What are you struggling with? So every day we'd have a list of things that we didn't know at the end of the day, and we'd go away, work late into the night, try and find out those answers. So the very next morning we can come back and communicate them. And it just happened like that every single day for a couple of weeks, and it's still happening like that as more and more things kind of unveil.
Okay, and what have you started to learn along the way? I mean, how have you been communicating with your with the students? I mean, you and I talked a little bit off camera about the fact that we've all been deluged with emails, and I mean, we're guilty at Warp Design, although I think we were pretty early off the mark. We sent an email out saying, you know, we're still here, we're here for you, we're going to look after you, we're still open for business. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. Let people know we're there to help them, the helping hand, the caring company. You know, 5 minutes later, I must have had about 100 emails that all looked exactly the same hit my inbox, and I realized quickly that what we had sent had just become complete and utter white noise.
Yeah. I think we found
have you experienced the same?
Yeah, we found actually, and I don't know if it's just because of a specific target market we've got, are lots of people with lots of questions. So if you email them, you know that it's not a sales email, it's not a high pressured, it's not an insincere, we're here for you, here's genuine information that you need to know to carry on with the experience that you're after. We found very quickly on that if you're honest, humble, like genuine, then people will engage with it. And we found that a lot of our content was hitting home. But you're right, there's so many companies out there at the moment. Just every day my mailbox is full of people being like, we care for you, and I'm like, I haven't heard from you for 4 years.
Yeah, who are you?
Off in your shop and
yeah. I mean, how do you get above the white noise? How do you stand out? What would you advise to organizations that are likely going to be a lot smaller than you guys, have less team members, less budget, and they're trying to tell the world that they're still there and they're still open for business, but they are competing against thousands of others doing the same thing. How would you advise they start thinking about marketing under a pandemic?
Yeah, I think you don't want to disappear. I think there's a temptation to go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to be scared to talk about the virus because everyone's talking about it, and someone's got to say something about your business, otherwise you will just disappear and there won't be any of you left on the other side. So you do definitely need to carry on talking about who you are and what you do. But I think it's about streamlining. You can't be putting out the same content you were putting out beforehand because it's no longer relevant.
The world's changed.
Yeah, you need to be adding value to the new world and the new way that we're all talking. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a sales thing. It could just be a hey, this is what we're up to now. This is what our new service looks like. Don't push people into it. You want to try and create content that people actually want to see. If you think your whole news feed at the moment, if on social media is just full of people either fear mongering or kind of sensationalizing news, so you're actually better off saying something that's going to add value to their news feed and give decent content.
Do you think that people are better off just putting their hands up and saying, I don't know any more than you, just being honest? I saw someone shared a post the other day that I can't remember how they wrote it much more succinctly than I'm rambling on about here, but they basically said, don't try and be a scientist, don't try and be an expert, because unless I'm talking to a scientist and an expert at the moment, which I know I'm not, then you're not going to be adding anything of any use to the conversation. You're just going to be guessing. You're just going to be adding to the confusion. I mean, we've been saying to our clients, now's not the time to stop communicating. Don't by any means hide away and lock yourself down. We're all locked away at home, keeping ourselves distanced from one another, but you still need to be there for your clients. And I guess what people want to know is what should I be saying? What is the right thing? And I'm not sure there is a right thing, but I think we've seen some examples of bad things.
I think there's lots of great content out there already. So you can just be sharing good existing content. I think there's also something about working. So we're quite lucky where we can work with other student unions, we can work with the university, and there's definitely something like best practice or working together. People really want to see community spirit at the moment. They don't want to see something that's automated. I still get lots of automated emails from holiday companies and offering me cheap parking at the airport or discounted.
Oh, that's funny.
Why do you still send that out at the moment?
Yeah, I must admit, we've had a direct debit taken for a holiday that we know we're never going to be able to take, and we can't get through to anyone on email, social media, or phone to get that money back. I guess we can go to our credit card.
And I think, fun enough, something that we're trying to work on at the moment is a university or an educational timeline is very cylindrical. It happens every single year, so we already know what normally comes up in term 3, like exams, like graduation, like accommodation bills, etc. So we're trying to preempt that and write content, say, we know you're thinking about this, you've got in touch, you told us you're already starting to worry about this, so therefore we're going to try and work on it early. And I think you can think about your daily or your annual touch points with your customers and think about how you can engage with them in a manner, because you don't want to be automated, you want to be relevant and kind of a human touch. People want to know that other people are going through it. Supermarkets are doing a great job at the moment in communicating with people. And holiday companies, like you said, your example, we received an email from our holiday company saying, we know you're in the UK, we know you can't travel to us, so here's all the next 3 steps you need to take. So therefore,
that's really good. That's very proactive.
Yeah, it's definitely proactive. I didn't see it as junk, it was useful. And I clicked through and the link on their email went to their website, where I then read all the rest of their COVID information. And it was really useful content.
No, that's a really good tip. So think about what are the natural reasons that you might need to be in touch with someone and how the messaging might change. And also think about...
forward planning.
Sorry, say that again.
Forward planning, I'd say.
Yes.
What's the next thing that people are going to want to know about, and what does your company look like in a month's time, a week's time?
Yeah, and I guess that's the big unknown for a lot of us, is we don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, how do you advise we plan marketing around something that we don't know how long it's going to go on for, what it's going to look like at the end, or when it will end? How do you go about that? You said something to me the other day about, think about, step one, maybe be Mr. Nice Guy and offer people something of value, whether it's information, whether it's a product or service that you are able to offer. But then at the end of it all, you want to sort of nudge them and remind them, hey, I was here for you. And again, you don't want to sort of slip back into sales mode too quickly. I guess you need to be consistent. You need to keep more about brand consistent throughout.
Yeah, rather than talking at the beginning, talking at the end, I think it's about being there with them throughout the whole journey. And obviously it depends what your product is, but I think for something like yourself, in a design agency, there's people whose business model has got to change massively. So if you're a man in a van who's always done everything face-to-face, or I don't know, cash transactions, you're suddenly going to need someone like yourself to kind of redesign their website and offer them a checkout at the website, or I don't know, or do something to their website which actually makes them now a digital, so they can carry on trading or offering their services. Or
we have been helping people do that sort of thing, but obviously there's not a huge amount of money kicking around for people to start throwing at stuff like that. I guess obviously there will be some who can, but for the people at the smaller end of the market who have suddenly had their lives turned upside down, if I'm honest, we're just helping them at the moment, and we're doing it out of the kindness of our hearts. But at the back of your mind, you're thinking, please remember we did this for you. We're going to be here at the end.
But at the same time, that might come
we can do something bigger and better for you. It's not so much at the end of this, come back and give us money. It's, I want the opportunity to be able to remind them what we can really do, when we're not under pressure, when we're not all worrying about the future. We could do something much more special for you. So remember us.
A bit like trying to retain their friendship on Facebook or LinkedIn or...
yeah. I mean, do you think
I had a conversation recently with people when I was trying to say to them about on LinkedIn, if you go through it, there's going to be so many companies that are saying, we're doing this for you, we're doing this for you, we're doing this for you. And what's going to make me stop and look at your post? Is it going to be something that I'm already following you because I'm interested in it? Or is it you go, do you know what, I didn't think about that? And I'd much rather be the, I didn't think about that, or there's something good coming around the corner, or something that it can still be a pat on the back, because a lot of people who need a bit of congratulations would want to see it, but at the same time, people want to see that you've done something good for community, because we're all going through this together.
And I think that's an important thing as well. Don't be afraid to say thank you to people. If someone has done something helpful or taught you something, then pay them a bit of gratitude, because like you say, we're all sitting here with our heads in our hands, all doom and gloom, and I think a little pat on the back here and there for people will make them feel better and motivate them and remind them that this will end at some point. So
I read something earlier on that said, I don't know if I wrote it down or not, but the content which is doing well at the moment is where I don't know, I don't remember it, where people are saying that they're either saying, we're all going through this together, we're all one community, so I'm going to do something with you or for you that's going to help us all out, or one that is kind of saying, like Audi have done recently, kind of congratulating their staff, thanking their staff, putting people at the front of their brand, and the ones that are doing bad are the ones who are just spamming your mailbox and just kind of sticking to their hard tactics and trying to profiteer out of a situation.
I had a phone call the other day from a guy, and I felt sorry for him, because obviously they're in the same situation we're all in, sort of desperately trying to scratch up some business. But he rang me, I think, day 2 of the government mandated lockdown, trying to sell me printer toner for sort of commercial printers. And I thought, probably not going to have a huge amount of success today, given that like myself, I'm at least 3 miles away from my printer right now. So, and I can't imagine I'm the only person in that situation. And I think maybe they need to think a little bit more about, you know, like you say, how can we be there for our customers? How can we do something a bit different to help them through adversity, rather than just trying to do the same old, but double the amount of it.
Yeah, we obviously found that we had to move away very quickly from any sort of print work, not only to save money, but because we didn't have that captive audience anymore. Design team had to very quickly start moving towards digital graphics, which then gives you an opportunity to think about what do my brand guidelines look like, and how are digital graphics like up to scratch other people. And then we found actually we don't want to do pre-designed digital graphics. We started doing a lot more live video. It works fantastically because it's just so quick, so easy to do. It puts a real face to our brand with students talking to students, which is really important for us, especially when it is those students who are representing the students. They're the ones going to the meetings, they're the ones talking to the university, they're the ones who are there every single day till very late at night, campaigning really hard to make sure that the students are well kind of represented and looked after at the very kind of high meetings. And it's really paying dividends at the moment, and they're getting some really great results. And I think that the university and the union are both learning a lot about how we should be engaging with students at the moment.
Yeah, that's an interesting point actually, because do you think for some people, if you're fortunate enough that during this downtime you can afford to have the downtime, maybe it's an opportunity to, like you say, revisit your branding, revisit your collateral, maybe have a look at your messaging and just generally how you go about business and how you as a team work. I know we're going to do a call similar to this one with some people in sort of IT and technology sectors, and I know one of the things that's going to come up is the question of whether this whole situation with coronavirus is going to lead to people reevaluating, do I need an office? Hey, it's worked quite well working from home with everyone. Do I still need to be paying rent on an office? That's just an example in the technology sphere, but in the marketing sphere, I think, you know, I think that people may even be changing the tone of voice of their brand a little bit, because like you say, they're moving towards being more supportive, being more friendly, more community minded. And I think that it's an opportunity for them to do that for some people. But the question will also be, when things start to return to normal, do they go back to how they were before, or do they try and be consistent with their new voice and the lessons that they've learned? And I think that's an opportunity, and also it's going to be a challenge for a lot of people. It's going to be very easy to slip back into old habits.
Yeah. I think a lot of
it's not really a question there, was there just a ramble?
No, but I think there will be a lot of big companies that we all know and see who won't go back, who have done well at it. For example, I heard on the news the other morning, yesterday I think it was, on the radio, sorry, that shoppers in the last quarter, or however they measure it, the last 4 weeks, have spent like £2 billion more across the country in supermarkets.
Yeah, I think I saw those
last year, and that's the supermarkets obviously making a lot of money out of all of us panic buying or whatever we're doing. But actually, the stuff that we're going to remember about them is Iceland's opening up, being the first people to open up supermarkets an hour early for the NHS, for key workers, for the vulnerable. We're going to remember Aldi, Lidl's for going out and recruiting a load of students when they may have just kind of lost their jobs, they're no longer on campus. Or we're going to remember, I know, Richard Branson for being the person who dipped his hands into his pockets and like not wanting to pay his staff anymore. And I think there's a lot of big...
Weatherspoons haven't exactly been...
exactly.
Painting a very good picture of themselves. But hey, they do cheap beer, so I guess I guess people will... come to
going
regardless.
Yeah, and Mike Ashley, Sports Direct, and him trying to claim that he's an essential shop and he's going to stay open and make his staff work.
To give him some credit, at least he put his hands up and said, got that completely wrong.
Yeah. but I think my point I was going to make is that I think a lot of these brands will be remembered for good things, and they won't want to lose that by going straight back into a heavy sell.
No.
And I think for smaller brands, it's also an opportunity, like, I don't know if we're saying company names, but that coffee shop around the corner from us who's now veg delivery, and they're doing some really great stuff. So I think they'd be mad to give that up. So it's an opportunity for them to grow a new arm of their business, I guess.
Yeah.
And
No, absolutely. People have had to pivot pretty quickly to survive, and I think they'll be thinking, I don't need to give this up afterwards.
No, but they're a really great example who went, actually, do you know what? We need a digital presence. It doesn't have to be the best looking, but we're going to put something up there just to kind of help people, and we're working, we develop it and turn it into something amazing at the other end of it. And I think what you said about home working, for us, definitely, we, a colleague of mine, she said quite rightly, we've been wondering for a while about how we could do home working, flexible working. A lot of staff who said they couldn't do it, and now suddenly we're all doing it. And we've got the systems in place for using a lot of shared documents and video conferencing every day a lot. And I think it's really pushed us forward in terms of home working, at least.
And that's been, I think that's been a really good example, actually, of marketing, particularly email marketing I've seen, and I guess content marketing around blogging. A really good example I've seen is a number of quite high-profile tech companies that I follow through what we do. They've come out and they haven't crowed and said, haha, we told you that the future was remote working and that this is how you should do things. They've actually come out and said, hey, we've been doing this for years. Here's our tips on how to make this work, how to cope, how to keep it under control, how to communicate better, how to respect people's time. The temptation is to jump on Slack or Microsoft Teams and just bombard messages and memes at each other all day long, and you get even less done than if you were sitting next to these people chatting to them. So I think that's been a really good example that I've seen, is people sending messages saying, we've been a tech company, remote working, most of our team are remote, we've been doing this for 10 years, here's what we've learned. And they've just shared that, they've open sourced that, put it out there for the world, told people the tools that they've been using, the techniques that they've been using. And I think maybe we all need to have a little think about, what do we do in our day-to-day lives, or what expertise do we have that suddenly a lot more people need through no fault of their own, and just share that information, because people will remember that you helped them out in the hard times, hopefully. So in your line of work as the head of marketing, and at a university which traditionally is made up of loads of different teams, loads of different departments, and when there's such a sudden and dire need to communicate with people, I'm guessing you're coming under a lot of pressure from different people to say, we need to send this out, we need to send this out, we need to communicate this, have we contacted these people, and so on. Has it been a struggle to keep everything consistent and to keep that under control, not be bombarding people with messaging?
There's...
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect, and I've done a really great job. No, I think what we found is that actually we've been getting so much information, it's been really difficult to filter sometimes. And our comms team at the end of the funnel having to work really hard, and they're doing a great job at trying to filter it all. But yeah, you suddenly find that you've got so many different departments sending you information because they're all going off and doing meetings in their own way. Luckily, we've got a great leadership team who are kind of managing the crisis, or whatever you call it, crisis response team. And
your Cobra team.
Our Cobra team. Are being fantastic at filtering out a lot of the information. But yeah, you do often find you've got so much that you do have to compress into roundups or videos or newsletters. But then, like you say, you fall into that trap of just bombarding people with information. So we've tried to filter it. We've also tried to continue with our business as usual, because we still are running, I don't know what the number is, like 5 out of our 15 different services that we offer. And they're the core ones that need to keep going, like our advice centre, like our wellbeing teams, and like the retail shop for the students who are still on campus. You have to kind of filter out, this is everything that people need to know, this is our kind of core services, and this is our fluff messages, and the fluff ones are just equally as important to kind of align people still with your brand, to get them to remember who you are and what it is you do. But I guess, yes, it has been difficult in response. But also, I think it's it's about being fluid. You could write a comms plan one day, tear it up in the evening and redo it the next day because the information is changing so quickly. We were quite fortunate that...
How often do you write a comms plan under normal circumstances? Or is that...
we would write a comms plan for kind of every project. We have tone of voice guidelines, and we have a daily kind of comms planner which is filled out however many days and weeks in advance. But something we've been trying to do is our point of truth has been either website or the university's website. So if we put out comms through social media or emails, we always try and direct people back to there. We've redesigned our homepage so that it reflects our new steady state, we keep calling it. So this is kind of our...
So what do you call it, sorry?
We call it our new steady state. So this
new
is
steady state, that's interesting.
Like our new normal. So we've kind of got before all this kicked off, we used to run all of this and here's how you can access all this information. But now we've just got these 5 core areas that we're working to. So therefore they need to take presence on the homepage. We need to free up a lot more space for kind of updates, news, videos. And our web designer is fantastic and he works super fast. And he pulled it all together under not a lot of time. But that's kind of where we store our main source of information and we direct people back to that. Like I said earlier on, the live videos have been a bit of a gift for us. In terms of managing internal comms, we've had to have a communications steering group within our crisis response team, our COBRA meetings. So they act as a filter. Everyone sends their information essentially. We use shared documents, so everyone who goes to a meeting with any sort of stakeholder will put their information in a shared document, along with notes. Can this be released? Yes or no? Is it ready to go? Yes or no? What's the key message? What you're trying to get across?
So this has become your sort of marketing Wikipedia then for the organisation. Sort of this is to keep everyone's communication in sync with each other, basically. So you're not... Yeah,
I think so, because we couldn't have lots of different messages going out across the many channels we have, all in different tones of voice. And actually there's still lots of positive work going on, even though there's so much change happening. There's a lot of positive work. This time of year, we usually do a lot of student celebrations and awards ceremonies. So we're still trying to keep that going, but at the same time, being mindful and respectful of people who actually, they don't care about that anymore. They want to just know what's happening with their exams or their accommodation or anything like that. So you've always got to be mindful of what's going out. And often we find that we've written a lot of comms, pre-scheduled it, and then we'll have to scrap and pull it because by the end of the day, something else has come up and we think actually that's more important. So we're going to scrap everything we've done for the whole day. That is.
That's really interesting. It shows just how fluid this whole situation is for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's another interesting thing you touched upon there is the fact, so where you talked about redesigning the website, we've had a lot of people sort of saying to us about, can we add a live chat to our website, or, you know, can you help us? We've neglected, and we're guilty of this as well. We're like the decorator that never paints their own house. You know, we've neglected our social media for the last 2 years, and now suddenly we need to be communicating with people without any face-to-face interaction with them. Can you add live chat and things like that? Help me with my email platform and so on. You've completely redone your website to double down on communicating.
The home page.
Yeah, but you know, when people load that website, done away with the non-core, got straight to the point, personalized it to them in this horrible situation. At what point do you try and make people return to normal? Have you got a plan for that yet, or is it just
we started talking about it. I'm a big believer that websites and homepages and information should be updated very regularly anyway. But yeah, we have started talking about it. At the moment, it's still the wound's still quite fresh. I don't know what a better saying is for that.
Yeah.
So we still got a lot of relevant information in there, and like you say, because things are changing every day, we can't move away from that yet. But eventually, especially in our market, things will not go back to normal because we're a long way from stopping the lockdown, social distancing, and bits like that. But this will become the new norm for us for a while anyway. So we would want to move out of the doom and gloom of constant updates every single day, and actually start focusing on the positives of the stuff that we are still able to deliver. And I think even outside of our remit, it's a bit like Brexit. People get bored of talking about Brexit and hear about Brexit all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to look for the new content, the fresh content, and go and actually, right, it's time to move on.
But you've got to keep in touch with reality, though, haven't you? You know, we don't know how long this will go on for. We don't know. I'm very mindful of the fact, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic about this, but I know from conversations I'm having daily with people, everyone's thinking, when it gets back to normal, after this is over, you know, when, you know, how much longer is this going to go on for? And I think the reality is this isn't going to be black and white. Today we're locked down, tomorrow everything's back to normal. The reality is
there's going to be a big hangover.
Yeah, there's going to be a big hangover, financially, mentally, you know, socially. I went out today, I had to pop down to the pharmacy to get some medication, and it just felt like something out of Mad Max or the end of the earth. It was just a ghost town. This police helicopter went over. It just was really eerie and horrible. People were, you know, the few people I did see crossed the road to not walk near you. And you kind of, it's going to be really weird when they say, oh, you don't have to worry about social distancing anymore, suddenly feeling all right to walk near someone again, or go to a shop and then not serve you through a glass screen with gloves on and things like that. So I think, yeah, there's going to be a hangover, not just financially, but socially as well. And I think it's possibly dangerous to not be prepared for this to not come to a clean end, and also to not be prepared for it to possibly come back again. You know, if cases spike, like they said they could, and they put everyone into lockdown again, there's a big risk factor there, there's a big fear factor, and I think it's going to make people very cautious, and it's very hard to prepare for. You know,
I think
you talk about your website and you think you put it all back to normal, and you do that too soon or time it wrong, you could look really stupid.
No, but we're not talking about going back to normal. I think we're talking about trying to normalise our new state. So obviously not going back to absolutely offering everything, because we know we can't. And everything that we've seen so far tells us that a lot of industries are going to be impacted for a very long time. But for example, we may see a whole new range of student groups develop on online gaming, or I don't know, the house party student group, or whatever it is, because students still want to build communities, they still want to engage, they still want to be able to talk to their lecturers online, and they still want to have an academic experience. But we've got to find a way of making this new way of doing it the normal for a while anyway. So I'm not talking about going back to how we were before, but I'm talking about kind of losing some of the clinical face in it and making people accept that and understand that this is what it's like for a while now. This is the new normal. And I think with brands, if you're a brand that you follow and like, it's just every day for the next 6 months, just talking about the doom and gloom, accepting it, and working out how to best serve their customers in the new scenario, the new situation, like the coffee shop we were talking about, then I think they struggle to maintain that level of engagement with their clients and their customers and their online audience for a long period of time, because there's only so many emails you can receive to someone about the same subject.
No, I think you're right, and I think I think it's just going to be a very difficult balancing act for all of us as to how do we start marketing again like normal, but in recognition that it probably isn't going to be normal, maybe ever again, and you don't want to upset anyone either. You know, the sad fact of this is that people are dying, and it's.
And that's why you need to go in delicately. You need to go in delicately, but also like a human, have a conversation, kind of be honest. Don't hide behind glitz and glamour of an expensive video or whatever it is. Talk to people about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And how it's
use cheap homemade video.
With unexpected extras and awkward pauses and
no, I think you've given us some really interesting things to think about, and thank you for your time this evening. If I was going to give you the kind of the cheesy sign-off question, if you're the owner of a small to medium-sized business and you're perhaps struggling financially, or you're struggling to know just what to do, if not financially, you know, how to handle your marketing, how to communicate with your customers, what's the one sort of tip, what takeaway, what one thing, if they've got time for nothing else, should they go away and do to try and make the most of this horrible situation?
I would say, I don't know if it is just one thing, but
well, it doesn't have to be one thing. So where's their time best spent? Maybe is a better word.
I would say being present and not disappearing. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be flashy, but just think about, we're all in it together. We're all fighting the same invisible threat. So don't think your brand has to swallow. Just try and find new ways to do it. Kind of using, I don't know, Facebook advertising or Google Ads, or you've also got the time, so you could try one way of doing it, and if it didn't work, try a different way.
We're big fans of that. Just iterate through things. Try things. If they don't work, try something else, and then stick with the ones that work.
Yeah, but also, I think keep it simple, keep it human, keep it genuine. But yeah, don't just disappear, because suddenly people have got to find a new way of talking to you. Yeah.
And I guess you don't want to, if you're going to try something new, don't go completely off the wall different so that people don't recognize who they're talking to.
Yeah. I think if you're
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you ever so much for your time this evening. I think it's been really useful, and I hope that everyone out there who's taken the time to join us and watch this today, I hope you've learned something, and you take away something that might be of benefit to your business or organization. Message us on social media if you've got any questions, or you want us to talk about something else that we didn't cover tonight. We'll happily do that. We're planning to do a few more of these chats with, we're going to talk to some IT and technology people. We're going to talk to some retail people, some sales people. So we're going to try and hit a range of different areas of business and see what insights people have in doing business in a pandemic, basically. So until next time, bye for now. Bye, Matt.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.